It's a new year, and I made a resolution to myself that I was going to watch less bad movies. And broken. And I also decided to bring back Reheated Turkeys. It was a series that I did like 2 or 3 episodes of years ago and then canceled, but I thought it might be fun to revisit the concept. What this is all about is finding movies that I haven't seen in a couple of decades and revisiting them to see if they hold up. These were movies that I loved when I was younger. And yeah, let's see if they're still any good. And we're starting with I Was a Teenage Zombie. This is a movie I saw like 20 times, but not since the early 2000s. So let's jump in and find out if I had good taste back then, or if it's like that time that I was really into like ska punk. We begin back in 1987 with I Was a Teenage Zombie. This whole thing kicks off with this vaguely sort of Ramones-ish theme song that's pretty rad. I was a teenage zombie. It's the weirdest trick they ever laid on me. Sort of feels like I'm high on drugs. And we're at a local high school, and we're introduced to our group of young students there and quickly meet the true villain of the film. Microphones.
Now, in organic chemistry, everything is based on the carbon atom. Carbon atom is the letter C. The letter C being the third letter of the alphabet as we know.
Now, I know that I've had sound issues in my videos in the past, but I can barely tell what is being said here. When our boys head out to go buy some weed, they visit Moon here, who is wearing this outfit, and he talks about how things are changing since the 60s, and I think that he's supposed to be an aging hippie or something, but he really doesn't look to be all that much older than anyone else here. But I looked up the actor, and he's listed as being born in 1951, so he was actually 36 here and would have been around in the 60s. So I think that this is more of a slam on the other guys not looking at all like high school students, more so than him being too young. Next up, we meet this guy here, and oh boy is he a character. He's Mussolini, drug dealer extraordinaire. They say that he's Italian, but he looks like he's possibly Latino, and he's wearing a Japanese shirt, so I'm not sure what his whole deal is. He's also played by Steve McCoy, so I suppose he's a good Irish lad. But that's nothing compared to Bird here, and he's regarded as the toughest dude around, and everyone's afraid of him, and it's hilarious because Bird is not intimidating, like, at all. Which is hilarious because when I was younger, Bird was a badass to me, and I guess it's just a syndrome of like putting literally anyone at all in a leather jacket and plop him on a motorcycle and he's automatically like Wolverine or something. Moose sells them some bad weed that he's trying to peddle, and here, you want to see editor Josh just cringe?
Right behind you. Oh, what's the night before?
Like, who edits like that? Just like cut those characters' lines off and then jump to them all in a stall. Oh, and the weird little thing that makes no sense is that everyone just calls it Marriage of Hoobie here.
Are you the guy who sung the Marriage of Hoobie?
Like everyone. Moose beats up Gordy, and oh hey, editor Josh, watch this one.
I catch that Mussolini.
What? Who? Why? So they all decide to go get their money back, but oh no, Moose, look out for this banana peel. And you know, growing up on cartoons and stuff like this made me really think that banana peels were a real and constant threat. Like, kids everywhere are afraid of slipping on a banana peel and, I don't know, falling into quicksand or something. Well, he slips so hard that he hits his head on the ground, and I guess they think that he's dead, and they do this by waving their hands over his face for like 2 seconds. They don't take his pulse or anything, they just like do this and then say he's dead. They decide to dump his body in the river because they figure that no one, including me, would believe that he slipped on a banana peel to death. But like, there's no witnesses, just leave. If someone came around, saw this dude on the ground with a cracked skull from falling on the ground, with a banana peel just sort of sitting on the road there, they put 1 and 2 together. or 2 and 2 together? Or, wait, how does math work again? I don't think that anyone would be like, well, yeah, but what if there was also high school kids with baseball bats? Anyway, they do another awkward jump edit to them dumping his body in the river, but oh no, he's not dead. Who could have ever thought their foolproof life detecting techniques could have failed? But before you can say swing away Meryl, Dan just kind of magically manifests a baseball uniform and walks up to Moose, who, I should point out, is literally just holding Bird and the other guy by their shirts and doing absolutely nothing else. And those guys are just kind of like, oh well, he has the back of our shirts, what could we possibly do? They crack him with the bat, and again, just assume they killed him, and again, don't bother to check and just toss him in the river. But oh man, there's a news report of a nuclear leak that contaminated the river, so yep, Moose returns as a zombie, but it just means his face is green now. Not the rest of his body, just his face. And you know this is a movie because these two guys right here, are with these two women, and they complain about them. Go figure. So Bird's motorcycle breaks down, and this just so happens to occur in the exact spot that Moose is, and I think this is supposed to be him pulling out Bird's tongue, but he doesn't really seem to be grabbing anything, and for some reason this kills Bird. Dan then proves that he's the undisputed master of picking up on subtle cues from women.
Aren't you in my chemistry class with Ms. Lugar?
As if you didn't know.
What? No, All right, I knew. You know what I really like about this place?
I couldn't care less.
Then he gets mad at her for not wanting to hear him tell her how terrible that her boyfriend is, and I think we're supposed to be on his side. Well, at least they got a maximized dong shot in these shorts, like just full screen mushroom. This girl then says that it's been weeks since Bird died, so I guess that Moose is just sort of walking around town this whole time doing, what? And again, he just happens to show up where the guys are and attacks the one guy's girlfriend, and he just straight up leaves her. And weirdly, this whole movie has been pretty low key up until this point, and then it suddenly turns into the kind of movie where a woman is killed while being sexually assaulted, which causes her to say, in a really weird overdub. And then, like a scene later, they don't seem that distressed by what just happened. They figure out that the irradiated river brought Mussolini back from the dead, and I guess he just lives in the river now. They try to kill him again, but Dan ends up dead, and how about this complex school lesson? These are high school kids who look like they're 30 and they're learning the days of the week in Spanish on the blackboard. They decide to fight a zombie with a zombie, so they steal Dan's body, which I guess hasn't been embalmed or anything, and put him in the river, which of course brings him back green. And yes, at exactly 1 hour into a movie called I Was a Teenage Zombie, we finally have a teenage zombie, even though the actor looks at a minimum 25 years old. Weirdly, they talk about a close call they had with Mussolini, but they didn't show it, so I don't know what happened there. And Cynthia shows up to say that she loves him. Now, keep in mind, she ignored him, but then got really mad at her boyfriend, so she cheated on that guy with Dan, but you know, teenage love. Mussolini then kills Lieberman in a pretty standout effect, and it's wild because most of the deaths in this film are pretty low-key, but here, there's a full-on dummy going on, and it's pretty cool. Moose finds out about the school dance and goes there, and Cynthia is there with her boyfriend, you know, the guy she cheated on with Dan, and Mussolini shows up and just runs in and screams for no reason, which gives everyone a chance to run away, and everyone does, except of course, our main characters, who for some reason are the only ones who stay behind. Dan and the Moose finally face off, but Cynthia's still here and ends up getting killed, like really easily. He just sort of pushes her head slightly against the wall, and I suppose the back of her head cracks open and she dies. I know that Moose has super strength and all, but she doesn't even seem to hit with that much force. Dan then chops off the weed man's head, and their whole fight lasts about 1 minute. Dan carries away Cynthia's body and her boyfriend objects.
You teenage zombie!
That's seriously the best insult you can come up with, dude. Then Gordy calls him a dick, and come on, the guy is a dick and all, but Cynthia was his girlfriend that this guy just banged behind his back and then inadvertently got killed and is now carrying off. Maybe give him the benefit of the doubt on this one. Dan then takes her into the river, which is losing its radioactivity, so they figure that they'll probably have a short time together before their bodies dissipate. Alright, so this was directed by John Elias Makalakis. I hope I pronounced that right. And it was the only film that he directed. This was a staple of late 80s video stores, and I probably saw this one about a dozen times back in the day, and I loved it. Not only did I think that Bird was a cool dude, I thought Mussolini was a great and intimidating villain. How does it hold up? Well, on the technical level, it really doesn't. It's incredibly low budget, and the flaws in the sound and editing show. I'll say this though, the acting's not bad in comparison to the other aspects. There's just some pretty fun performances in here, and I still love the goofy story. To me, it's that just right balance of not taking itself seriously, but also not just saying, oh well, we're making a bad movie. I still really enjoyed it, and if it were the first time seeing it, I'm sure that I would probably think it was poorly made, but I think that I would still enjoy the story.
It's funny.
What's funny?
Car won't start.
That's funny.
Try turning the key the other way.
Oh.
Oh. Thanks.
Thanks.
So there you have it. I Was a Teenage Zombie. I think it still kind of holds up in terms of a watchability aspect. Like, obviously it doesn't hold up in the sense of technical aspects, but I would watch this again. I think it was a lot of fun, and it's an enjoyable flick. So yeah, this turkey reheated quite well. If you've seen it and you like it, or if you haven't seen it in ages and thought, hey, maybe this is something I should revisit, let me know down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of it. If you've seen it recently and are like, no, that was pretty awful, that's terrible, I can't even sit through that. Tell me that as well. Tell me if you disagree. I'd like to hear it. But yeah, I got a kick out of it. Also, if you enjoyed this video, click on the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Also, please check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/movietimelines. These guys here go there, and I thank them for it. But I also thank you for just watching these videos. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a fantastic 2023, and we'll see you very shortly for another great video. Thanks a lot, guys, and bye-bye.